Alright, once again, fresh out of Mocha. That seems to be the reoccurring theme. We quite honestly haven't done anything but Mocha for the last 2 weeks. But here we are at Theater of Blood. And I don't know if I'm tripping or what, but the maiden room looks a lot brighter than usual. Oh my god, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I was looking at the... I was like, it looks really bright in here. What's going on? But yeah, we pretty much locked ourselves to the Doom of Mocha for about 2 weeks. And we've since green-logged it. Now we're up and about doing other things. I ran some solo CMs earlier. And now we have the opportunity of doing some TOB again. This is regular TOB though, and not hard mode, which is what we typically do these days. But any TOB is going to be a good time, honestly. This is a regular 5-man. We've got our new gear with us, and that being the Avernic treads with all the boots put into them, the Confliction gauntlets, and of course the Eye of Ayak, which to be honest, as of right now, the only place I know that I'm going to be using the Eye of Ayak is at the Theater of Blood. I don't know if I'm going to be using them anywhere else, to be honest, as I have a shadow. Alright, that's maiden room done. Again, for whatever reason, I feel like the Theater of Blood is brighter than I remember it being, which is ironic, right? Because typically, like, this area in Mauritania is pretty dark. I think it's just a testament to how dark the Doom of Mokhaiotl floors really go. I did put together this inventory setup on the fly just 1 minute before we potted, so hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. Oh my goodness, it says you have no charges remaining in your crystal halberd. Really? I feel like I put charges in this not that long ago. Wow. And I don't really use the crystal halberd in it at any other location other than TOB. Well, I suppose if it's inactive, I can't use it anymore, huh? My halberd is out of charges. Okay, oh, drop the salve, of course, of course. Just as we did in solo CMs, we have to ask ourselves if we even remember how to do any content other than Mocha. Other than leaking a bunch of crabs on Maiden, I think we're doing okay so far. We didn't die at bloat. Here we go, Eye of Ayak. I can't reach that. Well, that's awkward, isn't it? Okay, also right now I have the melees highlighted. Last time I did TOB, I must have been the melee roll. So the Eye of Ayak is 3-tick, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, but it does have shorter... No, I should put this on long range, and it will now have the same, if not longer range than a Sanguinesti staff, if I'm not mistaken. This bad boy is 3-tick. It looks pretty goofy to me, though, in my opinion. But can't deny that it's actually a really good weapon. A very good option for Ironman, especially, I'd say. It seems more easily accessible than, well, quite obviously the Shadow, as the Shadow's a mega rare, but it also seems more obtainable than a Sanguinesti staff. I could be wrong. And obviously, the Trident is easy to get, but it is 87 Slayer. And I don't know, some people aren't big fan of Slayer grinds. And 87 Slayer, especially on an Iron Man, does take quite a bit of time to take. But the barrier to entry for the Doom of Mocha is actually not that high, although the boss itself is difficult. But once again, it's another viable option. Now, if we had to slot in where the Eye of Ayak actually belongs, I believe it's ranked better than a Sanguinesti staff, but worse than the Tumican Shadow. But like I said, it can be a relatively early option. You only have to farm up to wave or delve level 3, if I'm not mistaken. 3 is the earliest in which you can get the staff. Obviously, the further delves, the deeper delves you can get to, the better. But again, I'm just stressing that it is possible to get this relatively early. Just another option to consider, as honestly, there's more and more options and different paths that Iron Man and normal accounts can choose in terms of progression, which is pretty cool. Now, we've been heavily talking about the Eye of Ayak, but of course we also have the Avernic treads. Typically, we would be wearing primordial boots, as they are the best in slot melee boots, and quite honestly, the Eternals and the Pegasians, especially the Pegasians, don't really serve a purpose in most raid situations. I'm not potted, and I don't have my altar on. I'm too busy talking. Also, I dumped a claw spec rather than going for a ZCB, so I guess I will just double claw in a second here. But yeah, let's talk about the Avernic treads. I guess it's not quite noticeable in the Theater of Blood, as Theater of Blood is primarily a melee encounter all around. But for something like Chambers or TOA, I think it's really going to shine. And honestly, the boots will shine everywhere. I mean, it's just straight up best in slot for every situation. I don't quite have the details for just how much better they are. However, I do know that they give range strength. I do have a +2 max hit when I was at Mocha in Elite Void with the Scorching Bow. Without the Avernic treads, my max hit would have been 55 with Rigor and being potted. But with the Avernic treads, it boosted it up to a 57. So it's at least a +2 max hit in some situations. You know, I'm so busy focused on what I'm doing and just talking, trying to speak properly, formulate coherent sentences. I have no idea what's going on with the teammates. I don't know if someone just died in the Nala room or not. Where am I going to be going? I can go northwest. A little random thing to note is that we're currently playing on World 544, which is either formerly a free-to-play world or it's an entirely new world. This is because recently the game has experienced a player boom, I think in large part due to the World of Warcraft player base moving over with the influence of several big streamers and content creators. But also, I think the game is just in a great state in general, inviting a lot of old players back and maybe like some genuine new players. So that's pretty cool. But in doing so, the worlds have been super populated, and lag is an issue. But it's nice that they're already addressing the problem by adding more worlds, and looks like they're going to continue to do that as well. Okay, I'm typically not at the northwest spot at Sodaseg, and man, does it take some getting used to that. It's an awkward angle for sure. What is going on? What is going on? I guess a disclaimer is that we do have about half the team playing on incredibly high ping, and on top of that, they are learners at top in general. I can't really explain what happened in that maze, though. I'm honestly not sure. Alright, we are now exposed to the tick heat. Can I still get it done after not having done this in a while? We're good. Okay. Let's sip this restore so we don't smite ourselves. Range ball coming. Another one. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened on that maze. Maybe someone went a little fast, someone clicked on the wrong tiles, and then it got confusing. Was that my shark? That was apparently my shark. I don't know why I dropped the shark out of all things. I could have used that, honestly. Alrighty, so it being a normal raid, we have plenty of points, so I'm going to sip the stamina and grab a fresh new one. I'm not going to need that shark, though, so I will pick up 2 brews and 2 restores in my inventory, and this should be more than enough. Keyword should, but we will just have to find out what happens. Several factors working against us here. For one thing, I haven't done Tob in a while. Again, cannot stress enough that we've been locked to Mocha for the past 2 weeks, and even before that we were doing a whole bunch of different content. Oh, I am in the northwest. I honestly forgot about that for a second. Here we go. Yeah, there's a lot of factors working against us for the completion of this raid, but I mean, surely it'll go fine. You know, we're gonna complete it off of experience of doing hundreds of Tobs before. I really do like these Avernic treads. Even in the regular Oath plate, it's a nice contrast. And unfortunately, the only person in here with Radiant Oath plate doesn't have the Avernic treads right now, so we can't even showcase what that would look like. But you can only imagine that it actually fits really well. Do I know how to 5-tick Zarpus still? I think so. I am excited to warm back up the top again and get a good 5-man hard mode top team coming to pot with us so that we can potentially get some new PBs or just fast times in general. That could be pretty cool. Yeah, regular Zarpus is actually a worse time than hard mode top Zarpus, funny enough. Without going into too much detail, pretty much you can AFK during the enrage phase in hard mode top. Just make sure you click the boss and then don't like mess anything else up. Just don't click anything else. and you should be fine. As long as the team is also doing the same thing. A regular Zarpus, on the other hand, though, we have to be very careful, particularly with a 5-tick weapon. The timing can be a bit odd. Surely one of the 4 main accounts here will pick up the staff. Thank you very much. I'm the only Ironman here. Plus, you know, my inventory is looking already pretty packed. Traditionally, one of the melee roles will be picking up the staff, as they tend to have the most room in their inventory. I wonder if the Eye of Ayak here will work differently whenever we pre-fire from the pillar. I imagine not, actually. Should be the same thing. I guess we'll find out. Yeah, it should work the same. Really? Oh, I wonder if the 3-tick is messing me up there. That was strange. That was a little scary. Let's brew up. Let's make sure we have our blowpipe ready for the poison. The purple crab. Nice and easy here. I guess something we did not talk about was the Confliction Gauntlets, which is also new to our setup and acquired from the Doom of Mokhaiotl. Quite honestly, though, I don't actually know how much of a difference this makes. I haven't really looked into it. I just know that it doesn't have any effect on two-handed weapons, so pretty much the Tumikin's Shadow. At least when it comes to the passive effect. Which, actually, now I recall what the passive effect does. I believe that if you miss a hit, the next hit will do 2 accuracy rolls. So, essentially, you're going to be more accurate after a miss. Beyond that, I'm not too sure what else the Confliction Gauntlets do. I'm sure it's just a straight upgrade over the Tormented Bracelet, though. Which, again, I suppose it doesn't make too much of a difference in Theater of Blood. Besides for the mage rolls, maybe a little bit more damage on the crabs when you barrage. And Sangstaff, or I should now say Eye of Ayak it. Man, you know, how are we going to use the name of the staff as a adjective? That's going to be weird. I don't know about you guys, but I've always said, yeah, I Sangstaff that, or yeah, I scythed that. What am I going to say with the Eye of Ayak? Oh, also, we have tank here. That's not great. I mean, it is great, but also not great. I'm one of the 2 more experienced tobbers in this raid right now, but I mean... Also, I need to pick up my pots. I really need to pick up my pots. Well, I didn't leak a melee, so that's good. Kind of crazy that we did not do enough damage to proc web phase, but while I was hanging there, I did notice that a bunch of people booked it. Absolutely booked it. There must have been a lot of crabs or something. Oh, that's unfortunate. I just healed the boss. 0.1% though, and we get it done. Okay. Quite frankly, I'm amazed I did not die in that raid, but we'll take it. What is unbelievable is that we didn't get a purple. Unfortunate.